But recently, I've had to question, am I a Zambian? There's been a massive increase in racism towards non-black Zambians. There's been a massive increase in tribalism. It's become more of an issue of what is it that makes you a Zambian? And people are fragmenting. So in questioning who we are, these slides are trying to show the many various forms of Zambians: victorious, statesmen, and are we drunkards? Are we lazy? Are we rich? Are we poor? What are we and what makes us? So I looked back. I went back and looked at the founding of Zambia and started asking myself, what is it? We got a country born with less than 100 graduates. And they built everything. They built airlines. They built Torino, Tip Top and Quench. We had bus networks. We built roads. We freed the region. And we enjoyed ourselves doing it. There was a great deal of pride. There was a great deal of belief in what we were doing. And where did that go? And why did it go? So one of the biggest issues, and the example I often use, is this issue of our supermarket chains. We had Moiseni stores and ZCBC, massive chains across the whole country. And we've, despite Trevor Noah's statement about Zambians not having escalators, and actually we did have escalators. We had escalators way back in the 70s. And what happened to that? Why did that disappear? Why did we lose our way in that? Why did we lose that ambition? For them, nothing was impossible. What really I was trying to say is that I grew up in a Zambia where there was all this belief. And I'm now in a Zambia where we're struggling to believe. The video was trying to show an era where we had extreme ambition. And I hope they can get it up. But it's our reaction to ambition. It's our reaction to planning. When I was a small boy, a few years ago, I arrived home from school and my grandfather was sitting in the lawn weeding, always smiling. And I'd ask him, what are you so happy about? Why are you sitting here content, weeding a lawn? And he said he had made a big decision. Many years ago, he had decided not to take on the chieftainship and become Chief Singalume III. And he left Kapela village in the eastern province of Zambia and started walking down towards South African mines. He had said, the white man has arrived and our whole world is going to change. I'm sitting here and I'll be quite comfortable. I'll be a chief. There would have been no issue for him. His life would have been perfectly fine. But he said, I didn't know where my grandchildren would be in this new world. I didn't know if they'd be able to acclimatize and whether I'd be able to adapt to this new world. So I had to make the sacrifice. So he made the sacrifice. He walked with two people, ended up in Kwekwe in Zimbabwe, and worked in a coal mine from being a chief. So his feeling was, I'm happy. I made the right decision. Here you are, you're in this new world, and that risk I took all those years ago for my grandchildren has paid off. And it was that long-term thinking that as a 9-year-old I decided was what I had to do. And it's the only way we're going to become successful as Zambians. I often use the example of theft, an increasingly popular pastime in Zambia. And If you have 500 kwacha or $500 of your employer's or someone's lying on a table next to you, and you're thinking about in a span of 1 month, that month is going to be, that money is going to be half your salary, your whole salary, double your salary. It's a significant amount. If you're thinking for a year, and you're thinking, well, that's $500 against, what's that, $6,000 or 6,000 kwacha. It doesn't become as significant. If it's over 10 years, it becomes even less significant. You're going to be saying $60,000 over this 500, and you'll look for whoever's it is and give it back. It's not worth it. And this affects the way we think. And my view is that we've got to start looking at that long term. Perhaps not as ambitious as my grandfather through generations, but certainly we've got to look long term. My grandfather's buried in an old council cemetery, and I wasn't happy with where he was, and so I started a project to look at how I could take that, move him into a little private half-acre, 1 acre private cemetery for my family. I found 80 acres, and I had to take that 80 acres and say, well, there are many Phiris, but not that many. But if I needed it, someone else would need it. And so I tried to push the idea and expand it. We got in investors, we got several $1 million in, and we launched Lepers Hill Memorial Park. It wasn't because my lifelong ambition was to start a cemetery. It was because there was a need. And there was a need for Zambia, there was a need for me, and I could take an idea which is small and grow it. It's a long-term project. My other project is Western Power Company. It's a $500 million, 150 megawatt power station. We start building in about a year, and it'll take 3-year build. It'll become Zambia's 3rd largest power station. And it started from a little colonial map, which some friend of the family gave us and said, get on with it. But again, coming back to time frame, we started that project in earnest in 2012. We'll start construction in 2018. We'll have finished in 2021, the commercial operation date, and it'll take another 10 years of Congole or debt repayment to 2031. If my thinking had been short-term and for my benefit, then that's not a project to do. And I think not that it's about myself, not that it's about Zambia. We've got to really just change the way we think. We all have this ability. We have brilliant ideas. We have brilliant people. We have, around the world, we have an underlying entrepreneurial, we have an underlying basis to succeed. But there are a few, for me, missing ingredients. And one of those is the ambition. My brother was recently speaking at a startup function, and afterwards he was asking a lot of very young entrepreneurs, what is it that you want to do with your business? And several of them told him, if I can just get my business so it can pay my rent and maybe I can even buy a car. That is not what we need. My video was to show the ambition of in 1962 Zambians trying to reach space.
The wacky world of Zambian astronauts, whose leader in 1962 confidently predicted they'll be the first men on the moon.
Mr. Encloser, is this the site for your rocket launching program?
Yeah.
And could you tell me where your rocket is?
Yes, this is the rocket launching site, and my rocket is just here.
Ground control to Major Tom.
And what is the name of your organization?
The name of my organization is National Academy of Science, Space Research and Astronautical Research.
3, 2, check ignition, and may God's love be with you.
When will you fire off your first rocket, and where will you send it to?
I will fight from Lusaka, and it will go straight to the moon.
You've really made the grade.
To most Zambians, these people are just a bunch of crackpots, and from what I have seen today, I'm inclined to agree.
So I've been watching this video for years on the internet and hoping it would go away. But recently in this search for, am I a Zambian? I've looked at it again and again. And actually, my feelings have begun to change. That was 1962. It was before man had reached the moon. We have right now an African starting space tourism, Elon Musk. And we admire him. We turn around, we invest in his companies. It's worth billions of dollars. We don't think Elon is a crackpot, but we do of ourselves. In fact, I don't know another country where we have a saying designed around our lack of respect or admiration for each other. And that's PhD. In most countries, that's your doctorate. In Zambia, it means pull him down or pull her down. And if you hear what the colonial commentator says, they said most Zambians think they're crackpots. And I'm inclined to agree. And for me, that is where we are as Zambians. Until we start to believe that we aren't crackpot and we can have giant ideas and we can go to space. And whatever we want to do, we can do it. We have to have a long-term planning, we have to have diligence, and maybe, like our friends in 1962, they don't make it. But if we don't start trying and we don't start believing and we stop thinking of ourselves as being unable to achieve, we won't. I believe we can. I believe we have the skill in there. And the reason that this is my final slide is that I do believe that one day we will see Chitenge in space. And hopefully it'll be from someone in this room. So my name is Sipho Philip Masero Phiri, and I believe, and I am a Zambian. Thank you very much.